Welcome. You are listening to the Be a Better Being podcast, hosted by Michelle Zellner and Sasha Berscheid. Michelle and Sasha are here to give you information and inspiration to help you live your healthiest, happiest lives. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Greetings. Thank you for tuning into the Be a Better Being podcast. I'm Michelle Zellner, your host, joined today by my beautiful co-host, Sasha. How's it going, darling?
Oh, hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, as always, I am glad that you're here as well because I'm telling you, this guest is going to be amazing. And I know, Sasha, you're going to have so many questions for this person. Chris Ratterman from Shady Rays is joining us today. Chris, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here. Excited to talk a little bit more with you all.
Well, I met Chris back in November of 2022 at his brand new, beautiful Shady Rays store in Park Meadows here in just south of Denver, Colorado. And it was all a whole bunch of random things, which of course are not random because nothing happens by accident. I'm not going to go into all the details of how we actually ended up getting you on this show. I might put the story in the show notes because that's really not what the conversation is about today. But let's just say that as soon as I even heard a tiny bit of your story, I was like, oh boy, you need to be on the Be a Better Being podcast. So I'm going to let you give us the background, come up to present day, and then we're going to dive into all the amazing things that you as a human are doing, and then also that you as your business are doing.
Sure. I'll start from the beginning. Shady Rays was founded in 2012. So we're a little bit over a decade old, which is crazy to think about at this point. I was in brand marketing, fairly young in my career and in a different industry. And I really wanted to start my own business. I've always had the entrepreneurial bug. I would say that I was the third grader that was asking for Entrepreneur magazine for Christmas for my parents and was always interested in little ventures. But I really took a different path in college and then my career path and focused on corporate marketing. I decided in 2012 that I would start Shady Rays. I came up with the idea. I'll tell a little bit story of the name real quick. I was thinking about sunglasses. I thought it'd be a great product to build a lifestyle brand around. You use it when you're outside doing really amazing things and enjoying nature and hiking and being on the water. And so I was excited about building a lifestyle brand around it. But I knew that a name was so important. And so what happened was I was sitting there just thinking and thinking and thinking of a name, and I could not come up with one for a couple of days. And I went to bed one night and I woke up the next morning. I just remember so vividly waking up and thinking, I dreamt the name. I dreamt the name, but I couldn't remember what it was. And I felt so strong that I had it. Couldn't think of it, had breakfast that morning, worked out a little bit, was in the car on my way to work. And it just struck me, Shady Rays, and I said it out loud. But of course, like is usually the case, you expect the .com to not be available, you expect the IG to not be available and other things, and it happened to be available in this case. So that was really the launch pad to go out and just try. And I never expected that I could necessarily build a brand. I just wanted to go out and get in the weeds and was curious about what could happen if I did that. So that's really what started it. In those early days, I was getting up at 5 a.m. I was working till 8. I would go to my day job. I told no one. I did not tell my family. I did not tell my best friends. They would have said, what in the world business do you have launching a sunglasses brand? So I never had anybody tell me I couldn't do it because I never told them about it in the first place. And then I would come home and work at night. I would work on the weekends and just grind it and build a website and found manufacturers and just figured it out along the way. Had somewhat of a vision, but really it was more iterative. It was more trying and failing and getting back up. And the early days for a long time, I had no orders at all. Some days might have had a couple orders. I would pack them myself in the guest bedroom of my then girlfriend, now wife, and take them to the post office. Eventually we were shipping enough orders that it was more than I could do in the early mornings. And so I asked my father, who was newly retired, to ship all of the orders himself. And he happily obliged to do that. And so we set up a label printer and a laptop and a card table in my parents' formal living room. right next to the family photos, right next to the fireplace were boxes of product. And my dad would take the orders to a stamps.com account. He would pack them up. He would put them in garbage bags and he would drive them up to the post office.
I mean, what do we do without parents?
I mean, it was crucial that I had that at that time. So I was working a full-time job and again, just trying to figure it out along the way.
Well, so at some point, clearly it became known that you were launching this business, right? And let me just say, the name is brilliant. And I'm a big fan of like a catchy name, one that sticks. So, and I also love that it came to you in a dream because so many of my things in my life have come to me in my dreams. And man, the power of the subconscious, right? So let's go back a little bit when you finally were confident enough, I guess, to divulge this big secret you've been keeping that you're launching this business. What did your family, what did your friends think of this?
Honestly, they were just very excited and were very quick to want to buy a pair, want to support, and were really interested in the general proposition of the brand. I mean, one thing I didn't describe is, the genesis of the brand was always to solve the problem of losing or breaking sunglasses. We replace lost or broken sunglasses. People buy high price sunglasses. They drop them in the lake. They drop them in the ocean. And that was always the genesis of it, and to be a purpose-driven company that gave back. And so all that wrapped up and people were really interested in it. By the time any of my friends really knew, we were doing fairly significant orders at that time. And the business was somewhat off the ground. I mean, I was not even paying myself at that point, but I mean, we were really starting to gain followers and pushing the business forward. I had yet to quit my full-time job when I did that in 2017, but I had a lot of support, which was fortunate.
I want to touch on, so now it's been nearly 10 years. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Denver store was your second brick and mortar. Is that right? So this
That's
whole
right.
time, it's been an online shop. Obviously, I'm assuming you moved out of mom and dad's living room and found actual space to do all of this. So take us through the evolution of how you go from mom and dad's living room to maybe bigger, online warehousing and shipping, to then deciding to open your first brick and mortar back where you reside, and then the second one here in Colorado.
So part of it is order fulfillment. And that's what went from the bedroom to my parents' living room to then a 3PL, third party logistic provider that would pick, pack, and ship that we went to next. We went to them when we were shipping 15 a day. And by the time we maxed our capacity, we were shipping 2,500 a day. And at that point, we opened up our own fulfillment center, of which I'm sitting next to right now, where we pick, pack, and ship all of our orders that we ship around the world. And we're building a new headquarters right now. But what drove the business really is in all the brand building and the marketing that happened online. So the advertising, the product, the stories we could tell about the problem we were trying to solve, that is what kind of created the momentum to then pull everything else along with it. And the operations have to support that. So really that's happened through different social media channels, being on the forefront of technology, trying a lot of different things. And we've been e-commerce since our inception until just very recently. And even still, retail is small and more experiential. We're learning along the way. It's a very different business. But we have, for a little bit over a year, our store in Lexington, like you mentioned, Denver, and then last Friday, we opened up in Scottsdale, Arizona. So we're excited about that. And then in a couple of months, we'll open Mall of America. And then a month after that, we'll open up in our hometown in Louisville, Kentucky. So we'll have 5 here pretty shortly.
You get a round of applause. That is incredible. So I have to tell you a story about my experience with Shady Rays. I had no idea that I owned a pair of Shady Rays until my son, he's almost 4 and has an adult size head. We're training him how to use his brain correctly and wisely, but he's got a big old head. So he was wearing a pair of sunglasses that my husband had ordered. He looked so cute, so stinking cute on him. And I just sent them I took a picture of him and I sent it to Michelle, and she's like, "What kind of glasses are those?" And lo and behold, I looked at it and they were Shady Rays. So I didn't even know that we owned, I think, now that I count it, 4 pairs of Shady Rays, but they are exceptional. They are high quality, and the look, like, I don't want to say preppy, but they're just clean and like, I don't know. They're beautiful. And I love that I'm here and I'm talking with you. I love the sportiness of the brand. I love the luxury of the brand. I love the quality. If for those of you who haven't seen a pair of Shady Rays, you have. You have. That's all I can say. You have.
Well, and
I
what's
love
funny
it.
about that story too is it literally was right after I met you, and I myself had become the proud owner of many, 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 many pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses. And I think that's what's really awesome about the product is nearly every person on the planet either has them, and if they don't have them, they need them. And it can change your attitude, it can change your energy, it can, be very functional, or it can just be fashion. It can be whatever you want it to be. And as I was in your beautiful store in Park Meadows, it was hard to not just buy one of everything. It was so hard to make a choice because, well, I like that one too, but that one's cool. And then I need that color for this, and I need that color for that, and I need this for this reason, and that for that reason. And even now when I look at my drawer, I'm like, I don't know which ones to pick. Right. It's like a good problem to have. The other thing for me that was just like blew me away of all of this was the purpose driven nature of your company. So let us talk about that.
So, in the very onset of the company, it was never and still is not a marketing play. I mean, I was only interested in doing something that really had greater purpose. It's way too hard to start a business and go through all that grind to have just a product for cash. Like, I really wanted it to mean more. So we had conversations with our earliest customers around the causes they were passionate about, and fighting hunger and food insecurity in America came to the forefront. And that's how we started our partnership with Feeding America, which has been our core partnership since the beginning. And we've done a variety of different charitable initiatives. But we've done 10 meals to fight hunger in America to really have something tangible that people could give to the world with us with every purchase. And we've done over 25 million meals to date. But a funny story about that, I never even reached out to Feeding America. We just decided that we would do that. And then we just started sending them money, and we started growing, and we were just worried about growing the brand and excited we were giving back. And eventually they called me and they were like, who are you all? Like, what? This is so awesome. But what is your company? And since then, we built a really strong relationship with that particular team. It's really important for us to work with charities and then get to know them personally.
I always like to make people realize that as long as you're doing everything out of pure intent and with love, man, like, you are going to be rewarded. Like, you cannot go wrong. If you are doing things out of pure intent and with love, you will be rewarded. And you don't even need to, you shouldn't even be doing those things to be rewarded, right? But just to do them because you have the gift to do it. You have the gift to give. And that's what I absolutely love your story.
No, I mean, that's so spot on and so powerful. I mean, literally, we've just changed to a larger impact program. We work with more partners, and this is a lot of conversation in our current company. And one of our team members said basically exactly that. Like, we could talk about, should we do this? Should we do this? What's right for the brand? Right. But when you start talking about what's right for the brand, it gets real sticky. Like, and someone brought us back to, like, as long as we do it with heart and for the people that we're helping, then that's just got to guide us.
And I imagine, Chris, that is a core belief that was instilled in you in your upbringing. Can you give us a little bit of, maybe young Chris, and not that you're not young, let's for context. Okay. People, who knows what they're thinking, but I'm a big fan of knowing age. Tell me, how old are you?
37.
37. You're a baby. I'm 50, so I can call you a baby. You're a little older than Sasha, but I mean, so you started this when you were 27, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my gosh, what an inspiration to do this. So maybe pre 27-year-old Chris, like, what was that upbringing like, and where did these beliefs and these values really come from?
It's something that was always instilled in me from a young age, doing community service, just finding things that I think what was really instilled is find the things that you can be really passionate about that really give good into the world and that give you energy. And then that grows from it. And that good can then be multiplied in that way. And it's not a sacrifice. It really helps everyone cumulatively. And that really is what led to, like, let's do good with this business that's so fun and that we're all growing together, it can be a win-win situation in that way. That was just always part, again, it really was just always part of the plan. And we talk about it a lot. And now what's exciting is now we've got other teammates, people that are coming in the organization that are having that same passion around these type of initiatives. So that's unbelievably exciting to see. Not something that would have, seen back then, but that's been really rewarding too.
I love that so much. The reason why I get so excited when you say like the community service and things like that is that this last year was very turbulent for myself and for my family. And one of the things that I personally stepped out of was going to church every Sunday. And what I stepped into was doing community service every Sunday. So, I took on that philosophy of like, well, if I'm not going to be going and sitting somewhere and being fed, then I'm going to go out and show my children, what it looks like to do acts of service and loving our neighbors and meeting people wherever they are. And so I think that the fact that your parents did that for you speaks volumes on, that little seed that they planted in you 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. Look at how many people it's impacting because they watered that seed, they nurtured that seed, and then they looked at you and they said, you can do this. Here, I'm going to put this shipping label on here for you, Chris. Like, I can see you do this. Go, Chris, go. And because of that, you're feeding millions of people. My dude, that is incredible. Congratulations to you and also your family. That's huge.
Thank you for saying that.
Well, and I know when I was in your store, we were talking about these things. And I think Jenny had mentioned that you're shifting a little bit still with Feeding America, but also working on partnering with more grassroots organizations and organizations that maybe do things that are in more the active space, because being an active lifestyle brand, right? And we're outside usually wearing sunglasses, not usually wearing them inside. And if we're outside, we're probably doing something. So tell us a little bit about some of the other organizations that you're partnering with and what exactly does that look like? Is it, a percentage of the sales go to this, or how does that work so that when somebody's thinking, should I buy Shady Rays or should I buy something else? It's probably going to make them make that decision to buy Shady Rays.
So in addition to Feeding America, we have 3 other organizations now make up our larger impact program. One of them is called Rock Solid Foundation, and they support children with pediatric cancer. And they give ready bags to children that are and families that are recently diagnosed. And they also build play sets for children that have pediatric cancer, which is important because they cannot go due to sanitation reasons and related to treatment. They cannot go to public parks and such. We're actually, as a team, Thursday in front of our Lexington store in the parking lot, we're actually building a play set. And so we're getting the team involved in that work. Super excited about that. Getting to know, and people say, how do we decide if a charity is good or bad? Like, we'll look at all the stats, we'll look at Charity Navigator, and we'll just have conversations and get to know the founders and CEOs and the partners in the company. I'm having dinner tomorrow night with the CEO and the founder of Rock Solid, who is a pediatric cancer survivor himself and very inspiring person. We're also working with a charity called First Descents in Colorado that is doing outdoor adventure trips for mostly children, but also adults with cancer, MS, or other serious health conditions. And what's really great about what they do is they bring a strong cohort of volunteers to help support, and they, private chefs that help prepare based on dietary restrictions and such. And our team is going out and we're volunteering as part of those trips. We're funding the trips, but our team is being is joining those trips as well, both kayaking, climbing, different things. And then we also are working with V Foundation.
I mean, you make us want to join the team.
Come on.
I mean, my goodness, how awesome. What an outstanding CEO. They say, the best way to lead is to serve. And you are a wonderful example of that, Chris.
Thank you.
Which is exactly why I knew he needed to come on this podcast, because, it's something that Sasha and I talk a lot about. And Sasha herself has really taken this, to a whole new level with her Project Intentional. And I started my own very little baby foundation, the Be a Better Being Foundation, just very much in its infancy. But, it is something that the more I am around people who do these things, and I know that is something that's important to me as well, it does inspire you to have your ideas and to make the partnerships and the connections. And I mean, I can only imagine, the just how that literally makes you feel when you know how you're impacting somebody else's life who maybe doesn't have the advantages or the abilities or the opportunities. When you as a team are doing this, how does that actually help the team? Because I know it does. So, can you give for somebody out there who's like, I'm too busy to volunteer, I'm too busy to give back, I'm too busy to serve, I got my own stuff going on? Because I'm sure you have your own stuff going on too, right? But can you just give a little bit of insight, maybe some teammates that have never really done that in their own upbringing, and how it's changed or affected them, and how that really does help you as a team as well?
Well, I mean, for one, doing it together, just that type of powerful experience together really does accelerate relationships and relationship buildings. It gives it an incredible sense of mission that aligns with the mission that we have as a brand, and why it matters. It is the why behind why should we get big? Why not be, and from a revenue perspective, from a sales perspective, we want to be innovative, we want to build great products, and then we're also really helping people, and all of that it kind of rolls into one. And so everyone, no matter what their role in the organization is, and we have, of course, tremendous amount of different roles, from accounting to HR to marketing to fulfillment to brand comm, talking to our customers. Each of those things helps then support a greater mission than what we're trying to do as a brand, because we want to be, we're an independent brand. We don't have a corporate backing. We don't have outside investors. We are bootstrapped and we're independent. And so we lean into that. Like, we're the disruptor brand, and we would want to be the independent brand that's working on this passionately and doing the right things. And I'm not, pushing against specific quarterly goals that have to hit for some, additional reason, which is not a bad thing. And not to disparage any company that's doing that. It's just that we can think long-term, and we can think about what's right for our brand at the moment.
If you could go back and talk to your third grade entrepreneurial magazine reading self, what would you tell him today? If you were he's right here. Mr. Chris is sitting right in front of you, and you have 30 seconds to tell him, what do you want to say to him?
Gosh, that is a phenomenal question. I have never thought about that in that context. I would tell him to just start and just do, and let it flourish from there, or let learning happen from there. Like, just step into it. And I think in general, that's what holds people back, because a lot of people tell me they have ideas and everything, but people want to have it all the way baked, all the way thought through. You don't want the time to be right. Like, you just enjoy the process and just take a step forward.
I love that. Embrace the process. That is one of my mottos. And you're right. I think, this idea that it has to be perfect before I start is really going to prevent most people from starting. And so much learning and growth happens in the process. And to think that you're going to get it right all from the beginning is a very unrealistic view of anything. So yeah, I think that's great advice. Is just start and learn, right? It's the learning curve that goes along with it. Obviously, family and friend support was huge. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't have, quite honestly, right? They might have an idea, but they get poo-pooed or diminished or dismissed, or, all the negative comes out, like, what if this, what if that, it's going to fail. So did you have you ever struggled with, like, that inner voice, the inner critic, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I should have done this, should have done that. Any of that go on in the journey for you?
Constantly. I mean, still today, right? Like, I can sit here and look back down the path, but I think just maintaining just a humility and the reality of not knowing the next step, but just doing everything you can to learn and figure out the next step and be curious about what the next step's going to be, helps accelerate that. Retail was an example of it. I had no experience in retail stores, and now we have retail stores. And why we do that? Because one, first of all, it's way bigger than me. It's our team coming together. We're all talking about ideas. We're networking. We're bringing in the right partners. and we're soaking it all in, and then we're trying things, and we're iterating from that. That's how it was entering the eyewear market for the first time. And I think that's how you have to look at it. Imposter syndrome is very, very real across business, entrepreneurship, main corporate, nonprofit, a whole space. But I think what the balance is, be confident without being arrogant, and not be insecure that it keeps you frozen from moving forward. And I waver too. You waver below, you waver high, and you just try to kind of keep that level and keep moving. And it's always a ongoing process.
So you mentioned humility, and I love that. And you mentioned confidence, and I love that. What are some of the things that make Chris check his ego, stay humble? Like, what makes Chris? Like, what makes you realize that, yeah, you're human too?
Yeah, it's a hard one to answer. I mean, I think, first of all, if you let yourself get over your skis and start to, for a second, be like, I'm great, I really figured this out, right? It's like the minute you start going down, it's the minute you lose some values, it's the minute you stop working as hard. But I just honestly, it's still so fast paced. We're still trying to figure it out in a lot of ways. This new frontiers is always kind of a new level, and we're still trying to figure it out. So I don't feel like, oh, I'm comfortable in the space. I feel like we have to show up every day to make this thing work. And that is the real feeling. The real feeling is I still feel on the edge of my seat.
I love that. I can feel the adrenaline, like the good adrenaline, like the happy adrenaline. So I have a question for you. I've asked maybe 3 other of our persons who've come on, our guests. What is your staple that you have to have? Like, so for me, I have to have my sleep at night. Like, my sleep is the most important thing for me to be able to run efficiently and effectively the next day. For Michelle, hers is her food. She has to have like the right type of food, and it has to be like all day. For one of our guests, he said his stress management, so one of our guys said movement. So, food, movement, gratitude, you name it. What is the one thing, the non-negotiable that you have in your back pocket?
For me, truly, I'm a morning person, and I like to really get in my zone and work head down and think through ideas and just iterate myself with a laptop. And I do that really well before everybody's awake. So I get up at 5 a.m. and I work in absolute tunnel vision from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And I have my cup of coffee. I gotta have my coffee, and that's part of the process. But that has been the thing that's kind of helped me push forward, because it's the time of the day when there's no distractions, and I can just kind of move ideas forward and prioritize what I think is most important to just make us better before the meetings of the day and things. So I get a lot of energy from that. So for me, like, I look forward to waking up then, because I've established that habit. And by the nighttime, like, by the evening, I can't function at that level, but I hit the ground running, and I've been doing that since day one.
I love that. I am on that same path with you. I get up and get things done, and I don't know, I'm kind of useless probably after about 4 p.m. And I think that's such an important key to being successful, is knowing how you operate best.
Yeah.
Right. And doing the best you can then to fit into that. So aside from, your own unique personality traits and characteristics and the things that were instilled in you, who keeps you grounded now? Who are those core elements of support in your life to either maybe give you the little hint like, hey, Chris, you're getting a little big for your britches, or, hey, you do have the ability and boost your confidence? Who are those people in your life that do that?
My wife certainly is an amazing, amazing partner in that space, and, sees me in business setting, me decompressing after business, and then, and then our personal life together with our sons. We have 2 sons. And so that's all, and she's not as involved in the day-to-day operations of the company. And so it's incredibly important perspective. My brother is our COO and joined the company. He's younger than me. He joined the company. He's our COO, very operational driven, where I'm more of the marketing leader, and is a tremendous person that gives me a lot of great advice and sees kind of within the business, and is obviously very highly trusted and gives me a lot of great perspective. And I've had, great partners along the way that are, some advisors technically and some more networking contact, but that have been through the full ride. And the full ride from not knowing if it was going to work to being small, to being medium, to being whatever size we are now. And it's kind of help mold it. So I try to have a lot of conversations and step back when I can. Admittedly, it's tough at certain times of the year, but now is a perfect example of when it's very tough, because it's springtime, we're ramping up for summer. And so we're at execution mode, but I think you've got to really purposely do that. Or at least for me, I have to really purposely step back, or otherwise I will be kind of sucked into it.
Yeah, I can imagine just creating that balance, right? And I talk a lot about work-life balance, and I even hate the phrase, because if you're working, work is part of your life. So it's not two separate things. And they say they're trying to find it, which also, you don't find it, you have to create it. You have to be very intentional about it, because there's always more to do. And one of the things that you said multiple times in a few different ways is relationships. Relationships are foundational to all of this. And I think it's so easy to either not do what's necessary to cultivate relationship because we're busy, or we have relationships that we sort of take for granted. We don't tend to them and nurture them because we're busy. And ultimately, if that foundation starts to crack, there's a good chance that things are going to crumble eventually. So it sounds like you have a really great handle on, number one, the importance of relationship, but also the ability to keep that centrally focused, whether it's personal or business. Is that a fair assessment?
High awareness and a lot of care for it, and still figuring it out, still trying to get it optimized all the way. I can't sit here and say I have it all the way optimized. I'm out of balance and a lot of the time, but kind of the mind space to want to pull it back to center is certainly there. It's a big focus of mine.
Yeah, awareness is key. Awareness for everything, right? And I think for me too, and this kind of is a general theme of the Be a Better Being podcast, is we are pack animals. We're designed to do things as a pack. And so many people think they're supposed to do things alone, or that they should be able to do it on their own. And when you recognize all the things that you get from the pack, somebody to challenge you, someone to hold you accountable, those people who support you, people who just simply cheer for you or celebrate you, right? People who challenge you to be better, people who challenge your ideas to maybe have a different perspective, and the willingness to invite those things into your life. That is how we all grow and thrive together. And I love that you as a company do that. You as a family does it. I mean, it just seems to me like, again, that's why you're on the show. You are like literally the epitome of a better being.
Yeah, the only thing that, how you are always like, Sasha, do you have? I'm like, yes, I have it. I have it. So the only thing that really you nailed it is in AA, they teach you that you need to join a community. And then within that community, you need to serve. So what does that tell you? That community and servitude go hand in hand, and it's fundamental. And what you just said, you're right. We're pack animals. It is fundamental to find a community. It is fundamental to do community service. And the more that we normalize it, the more we're going to heal and the better we're going to feel together.
Absolutely.
That's so inspiring to hear. Yeah, both of you say it in a way. Yeah.
Well, so I want to do a little sales pitch for you. And we're not on here to sell Chris's sunglasses, but I don't know why we wouldn't. As we're coming upon National Sunglasses Day, which I think, Chris, you told me your son was born on National Sunglasses Day. I mean, come on.
Our son born on National Sunglasses Day.
Did you plan that?
I did not plan that. That one did not have anything to do with that, but the stars aligned for me there.
I mean, nothing happens by accident, right? So you're listening to this episode, June 26, 2023, National Sunglasses Day is tomorrow. I am going to tell you all to get online or go to one of the beautiful brick and mortars if you are close to one and buy yourself 1, 10, 20 pairs of Shady Rays. Chris, I'm going to give you a final shot at telling people just about the company, about the brand, about the sunglasses. Tell them anything that you want.
So our goal, what we work on every single day, is just to build really high quality polarized sunglasses that are as good as the pairs that we've experienced that are hundreds of dollars, but sell them for under 100. A lot of them are more like $54. And we protect them with lost or broken protection. So we stand behind it. We have a customer service team that's always standing by, helping people out no matter what they need. But we always tell people, if they see a pair they might like, they're unsure, but if you buy it, you'll really love it, or you'll pay nothing. We have free returns for 30 days. You can even wear them for a bit. We're really just trying to make the best sunglasses that we can. And we're always also releasing new products that we hear from our fans that they're excited about, whether it's new colors or new problems to solve. We just released tangle-free aviators that have been extremely popular.
They are the best.
Based on so many people telling us about that problem with aviators getting stuck in their hair, so many women having that issue. It's just being attuned to that and just trying to react to it and build things that people are going to love. And that's what we focus on. So yeah, shadyrays.com has all of our styles, and new customers get 20%. And in some of these cities like Scottsdale, Denver, Minneapolis, Louisville, Lexington, there's a store nearby.
And it's a beautiful store, I have to say. I'm headed back to the Park Meadow store here in a couple of weeks. I feel like I need a couple new pair. I already have the blue ones because Better Beings, that's my brand. I have green because I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, even with all the nonsense going on. I have red because I do a lot for the American Heart Association. You need some red sunglasses. I got the fun mirrored ones for by the pool or on the beach. Definitely the tangle-free aviators. I'm telling you, those are the best invention ever. The nice deep sea ones that fit real close and tight so you can wear a ball cap and your sunglasses with them without it feeling all wonky. I'm telling you, there is a pair for every occasion, and it's fun. Who doesn't need just a variety of sunglasses to pick whatever you might want to feel at the time?
Could have said it better.
Sasha, anything final before we say goodbye?
Nope. Just thank you so much for taking your time and your talent and joining us on the show. I know that so many people are going to enjoy the story.
Thanks so much. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chris. And everybody, I'm telling you, go buy some sunglasses, but even more importantly, go be a better being. And actually, if you go buy some sunglasses, you are being a better being. So look at that. Easy breezy. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Be a Better Being podcast. Michelle and Sasha hope that what you heard today inspires you to embrace this journey of life with an open mind, a kind heart, and a willingness to learn and evolve. If you enjoyed the content, please help spread their message by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review. If you have a show topic idea or would like to be a guest, please visit betterbeings.net and fill out a contact form. Until next time, go and be a better being.